All right, guys, we're here. It's Exodious with Celis, the independent rapper from North Carolina. I've done a couple of his videos, and Jeremy, a local entrepreneur. I want to bring them on to kind of interview them and pick their brain to see what they think. It's a new series that I'm doing. If you guys like the idea, leave a like rating below, comment, let me know what you'd like to see more of, and if there's any suggestions you guys have, and we'll kind of go from there. So I figured I'd kind of let them introduce themselves, and I'd kind of ask some questions and things and get on from there. So if you'd like to kind of introduce yourself, give us a background.
Yeah, man, again, I'm Celis, I'm from North Carolina. Been doing music seriously probably for the past 6 to 8 years, but on top of that, on the entrepreneurial side, I do a couple different things here and there. I guess we'll get more into that later, but again, been doing music for about 6 to 8 years seriously, and currently working on a project right now that hopefully will be out in the next 2 to 3 months from now. So y'all can definitely stay tuned on that, and if you're interested, you can follow me on all social media. It's at Celis Music, so that's C-E-L-I-S and music. I'm pretty sure y'all know how to spell that, so no spaces in between, and check me out.
And both their socials will be linked all down below and everything as well. How would you introduce yourself?
Jeremy Harris, man, local entrepreneur. I say local because the majority of my business is done locally. I run and own a window tint shop, which we're sitting in a portion of it right now. Man, been tinting windows for going on 16 years now, and have always had that entrepreneurial spirit. This just so happened to be the lane to get me into that, and man, we're growing from here, you know?
So I wanted to ask you guys a bunch of different questions, and I haven't quite cut it down to anything specifically, so I kind of just wanted to throw things out. So I'd like to begin with more things that are kind of personal to you guys individually,
Okay.
and then kind of ask questions together and kind of get like a discussion going. So I wanted to ask you, what got you into rap and music in general?
That's a great question, man. My father, growing up, or even before I was even born, was a DJ. He's from New York. He came down to North Carolina to go to school. While he was in school, he got into DJing and became a record promoter. So I just remember my earliest memories as a child or young toddler, music being around, a whole bunch of records, you know. And really, when I was in high school, I loved music. I listened to a lot of music, but never really rapped. It's interesting and unique, my journey on rapping, because I'm not like most people where they wrote their first rhymes at 11 or 12 and started doing things while they were in high school. I actually went to college, and while in college, I started dabbing into it. A guy by the name of Demigod used to rap, and he's real dope. I always tell people he's probably the dopest rapper that you've never heard. You know, and I don't say that about a lot of people that I don't know, that you don't know on a mainstream level, but you know, just listening to him and then listening to the type of music that started coming out at the time, I felt like I could do it better than them. So I can't really say that anyone in particular inspired me to rap. It's just kind of like I got into it like, oh, okay, I can do this better than the next person. And then over time, I started letting people listen to the music. And they're like, okay, that's pretty dope. So then my brother really was the one that encouraged me to say, like, look, you've been kind of playing around with it. You've been spending money doing this. Why don't you do a serious tape? So I did a tape back in 2012, which was around the time when me and Jeremy really got connected. I kind of knew of him. I knew his face because of the area and the city that we're from, but I didn't know him. And you know, just out there trying to market my music, I had gave him a CD of mine. I believe that was called The Essentials. It was a mixtape that had a mixture of industry beats that, you know, rappers had been on, and I did remixes to them in a couple of my own original songs. And then from there, man, we kind of got connected on that level. So That's really my journey in regards to how I got into rapping and why I'm doing it. But over time, I have developed a passion for it. So, yeah.
And so I still got that mixtape. That's crazy, man. I know exactly where it is right now, which is dope.
How did you get into window tinting? Or
Man.
even local entrepreneurial?
Let's take a journey back, man. My dad was I'm not gonna say like a professional. He never took it that far, but he was really well known for window tint.
Okay.
And being a kid, looking up to his father, I would watch him, do cars and whatnot. And then when I actually got to an age where I could give it a shot on my own, this was around when he was still tinting, we would kind of tag team cars, And again, at this point, I really wanted to start a business, but not window tint, because it was so frustrating to make a mistake or not get something right. So I'm like, this ain't what I want to do. But at the time when I was learning, I was actually writing a business plan for a laser tag in Person County, which, I never did anything with it, but, just always had that entrepreneurial spirit, wanted to create, wanted to be my own thing, And then the years went on and everything that I had done flopped. So I'm like, well, what's going on? Like, what's my alley? Like, what path am I supposed to take? And by this time I had probably been trying and failing window tint for, 8 years, 9 years. And that 10th year, man, I remember, riding in a security car, and we'll get into all that later, but I just kind of made this decision, like, if you're going to start, you can't quit anymore. And making that decision has led me to now being in business for myself for going on 6 years, creating a brand that has never been created in the way that I've done it, and man, just trying to grow from there. It's pretty wild, but this wasn't exactly what I had planned on doing, but I realized that it was probably my only avenue into entrepreneurship and being my own boss. So, I got to credit my dad for at least introducing me to it, because he introduced me to it, but then I made myself a pro.
Yeah, it seems funny that way. Both our fathers, whether directly or indirectly, kind of got us into that. And I never really knew that, like I said, when I was younger, I was heavily into sports. And, just like a lot of, black youth, I knew I was going to play football or basketball or something, but just mishaps. I kept getting hurt, not that I don't think that I wasn't good enough. It's just, timing and placing and, not having my father around physically to kind of teach and mold me in such a way to, train my body to be like that.
Right.
But, after that, things shifted. Like you said, you never thought that you would be tinting windows. And if you had asked me, middle school, high school, if I'd ever be rapping or letting me hear myself, I never thought that I'd do that. So
it's pretty wild.
Yeah, man.
So, did you guys go to high school together?
No, not at the same time.
Went to the same high school.
Went to the same high school.
But what year did you graduate?
I can't even remember now.
I was 08. 08. So, you weren't crazy far away from me.
No.
That's what I thought.
So you're actually older.
A little bit. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I thought you guys were always the same age and that you graduated high school together and everything.
No, it's just because he looks old as shit. You know what I'm saying? But it's all good.
Oh man. Thanks for making me feel good, sir.
Yeah, I look good for an 85-year-old man. You know what I'm saying?
If you're 85, where does that put me?
You probably like 80. Looking 100 is cool.
Yeah, I feel 100 today. Jeez.
All that hard work you doing.
Man, you got to.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you think your music has evolved from in 2012 or whenever, when you started originally, to now?
I think that when I first started writing, I just wanted to prove that I could rhyme. So my structure is more of a traditional sound where it's a lot of lyrics, metaphors, similes, things of that nature. So a lot of my earlier records were just trying to prove that I could piece words together in a unique way. But I think a lot of my earlier music was, what can I say, monotone. I wasn't able to invoke my personality on some of my earlier records, but I think that I found a balance now that allows me to portray who I am and get my personality on the track, but at the same time still being lyrical, but trying to do it in such a way that's palatable to people that may not necessarily be interested in that style of hip hop. Mm-hmm. So you may not catch the second or third meaning of what I say in a line, but I at least want you to catch that main line. So I think in terms of, you know, my growth over that is just, you know, showing my diversity, showing my personality on records, and really just trying to show people that I don't just rap on certain beats. You know, I mean, I have certain beats that I rap on, but I can rap on any beat. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if I jump on a record with anybody and you hear my verse and hear their verse, you'll definitely understand what I'm talking about. So,
have you ever had any, like, have you ever been interested in hip hop, or have you ever wanted to do something of that nature?
Man, I've always liked music. So, I mean, I think everybody grows up and they have a liking towards music, but I never understood music in depth until I started to pay attention to, like I said, that first mixtape that he gave me. You know, when you know the person that's actually creating the music, like, I don't know, I paid more attention to it. And then I've learned over the years, like he said, he's been rapping for 6 to 8 years. So over this time period, I've learned a lot about music that I really didn't even know, which is cool, you know, because now I listen to music in a different way. Because, like I said, I've paid attention to how creative he is with music and words. And, you know, I'm really big on subliminal lines. And it just so happens that that's how he raps. Yeah. Like, if you're not paying attention, you'll miss it. Yeah. And that's art to me. So yeah, no, I've never wanted to rap, but like I said, I've always really enjoyed music, and it just so happens I really enjoy, like, the way he raps. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what really drew me to being able to support his music because of that. Like, rap, like, music nowadays is so simplistic. Like, there's really no substance to it. Yeah. You know, it's rapping about all the same things. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you're not paying attention, you completely miss the message throughout his whole song. I love that. Yeah. Like, I like that. It requires you to focus on the song and not just bop your head and listen to it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people know the chorus of every song. They don't really know the verse or the meaning of, like I said, it's taught me to pay attention to music a lot more and really shine light on how simple music is now. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of like when you may watch a movie, you know, because of what you're into, you may not watch movies the same way others do, where they're looking at movies for the entertainment value, which you are too, but it's like you'll notice certain ways that the director used the camera, or, you know, the cut or the transition into the next scene, or the type of music that, you know, so.
I'm sitting there like, you watch this movie, it was on Hulu, it's called Run, and I was like, so my camera, it has issues with rolling shutter, so if you shake the camera really fast, like, say it's that straight line for the garage door, it'll appear like slanted, because like the shutter's trying to keep up with it, and it's recording it like in a line, because it's not just recording it in one take. And I was like, pointing out these different things in this movie, I was like, Hulu doesn't have these special specifications for cameras and things like Netflix is. Like, there's only like 10 cameras you can actually use to make a movie that'll get Netflix approved. But Hulu isn't the same way, because it's more like a broadcast, like a...
Yeah, because, you know, with the streaming, it's like, you know, certain streaming services have certain resolutions that they'll run. You know, and then on top of that, when he's talking about, you know, shutter and everything, you're looking at this and you're like, they do that traditional 24 frames per second, or it's a lot of action going on, so they might have did that in 60 frames per second, or even 120.
Yeah.
You know, because they've shot certain scenes more than 120 frames per second. So basically, you know, like you're making a cartoon where you have a still picture. So when they're talking about frames, it's like, think about 120 still frame pictures in a second. And each one has like a little slight movement.
Damn.
So basically you have 120 different still frames in this 1 second.
All right, listen. You've already ruined the way I listen to music. And now you're about to take the one thing that I don't know nothing about. I'm just watching TV, but now I'm going to be looking at this stuff because I'm like, oh, I noticed that.
Yeah, man.
Oh, look at that. Thank you.
You'll notice that when you're editing photos and different things and trying to put it together in terms of, you know, a moving, like a GIF or like a little small, you know. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, man. But look, I'm no pro, man.
It's
just stuff that I got into.
Yeah.
You know, because being from where I'm from, you know, outside of making my own beats, man, I had to do everything myself.
Yep.
So as far as marketing and coming up with my own promotion in terms of little mini snippet videos or artwork for my music, I didn't really have anybody to do that. It's kind of like you could never find a middle ground. I know somebody that does great work, but they're lazy.
Right.
Or the people that really put out work, that it wasn't the quality that I was looking for.
Right.
And I know you can attest to this. I'm
very hands-on.
Yeah, I'm very meticulous. So it's like, you know, a lot of people don't realize what goes on in making a 3.5 minute song, nor should they. I mean, you know, it's not for them to care, but you know, you think about it, it's like you write the music, you know, you record the music, you have to come up with the artwork for the music, you know, you do the snippets for the music. If you want to do a music video, and you know, paying the videographer and you know, things of that nature. So it's a lot that goes into that, and even though they're only taking 4 minutes out of their time, it could have took you a month to 2 months to create, and you know, depending on the type of money that you done put behind it. I mean, most studios around can charge you $50 to $75 an hour. You know, on the quick side, you might can finish a song in 2 hours, but if you want to make a radio edit or a show edit, you know, for that song, then you know, you're really looking at 4 hours, you know, at that. Then if you pay for the beat, if you're not doing, you know, like a remix or something, then you know, you might can get a quality beat for $50 or $100 from an independent producer, but usually if you want exclusive rights, it can be anywhere from $250 to $500. So you got $250 to $500. You're paying for studio time, and
this is just for a 3-minute video. Repreface that. Yeah.
And then you got to shoot the music video. And like I said, you might can luck up and get that on the low end for $100. But
that's crazy. How
many people are doing quality for $100? Right. You know, so then usually that ranges from $250 to $500.
Man, for a 3-minute song.
Yeah. So that's people don't realize that comes out of your own pocket. You know, like I said, it's a little nuances that they don't understand, and you know, kind of like when you're watching a movie now, little nuances like, dang, like how much did that cost? And what type of camera they use to do that, and how many frames per second you do that? So it's like,
again, man, like how many artists do you know that know as much about the background work? You know what I'm saying? Like that's where people miss. I ain't gonna even get into it. I'm telling you, there's so many different aspects to being a true artist, and it's not just rapping. And if anybody was paying attention, he just explained all of it. Like he knows front to back. That's dope. That's dope.
Do you, knowing so much about it, do you ever have like, do you ever want to kind of create your own label maybe and help other people maybe down the road? Or
yeah. It's just I think I'm still on my path, not to say that I'm selfish. It's not necessarily about being selfish, but I think that once I've gotten to a place where I feel like I'm good, then I can be in a position to help others.
Yeah.
You know, I got to help myself before I can help others. But, you know, definitely any knowledge that I pass down, you know, if I have it, I pass it down. Because even aside from the music side, then, you know, then there's a whole nother rabbit hole of how you can get paid from your music. Whether, you know, you're signing up to be a performance rights holder, you know, so you can get credit as a writer on your music, or, you know, you're getting mechanical royalties from streaming, you know. So it's really like 4 different avenues that you can get money from your music.
Yeah.
You know, but if you don't set up and register these things, it's like you put the music online and you can't receive the royalties from it. So that's a whole nother sector on top of, you know, everything else that you have to do to even release the music. So I think now for me, just being independent and doing everything myself, it's more satisfying, but at the same time, it takes a lot longer to do it, because writing the music and recording it is the fun part. But, you know, everything else that you have to do. And I've seen some actors say that too. So for them, they say the job is not, you know, doing the movie. It's when they get ready to promote the movie. So then they got to go on this promotion run and go to these radio stations and speak to these TV stations about the movie. And, you know, depending on your contract, you got to do so many locations and then go to the red carpet and everything like that. So it's everything around it, you know. And it's kind of like that with sports players. You know, a lot of them don't necessarily love the training camp and the practice aspect of it. That's the job. You know, what they do, like for football players on Sunday, that's the fun part. It's everything else leading up to it. The working out, the lifting the weights, the practice, you know, so.
And do you ever have plans to maybe expand your business to other states or other cities, or what are your kind of future?
Honestly, I have to grow some, but I'm a little bit wary of growing too much. So like a lot like how Cel is about music and being so hands-on, I'm very hands-on, and I like to control how things turn out, or at least be in a position to oversee how things turn out, to make sure that they meet my standard. And I know of some really successful shops that have lost that aspect because they got so big. They can't control the quality to a level that it probably still should be. And I built my business reputation, or my professional reputation, on doing it right. You know, like I've been given jobs that were totally unrelated to what I do all week long, just because they're like, you know, I just know if anybody can do it and do it right, you can do it. And I never want to get to a point where I'm not able to control that quality. So as far as me expanding out of state, I highly doubt that my OCD would allow me to do that, because I'd want to be everywhere at once. But I mean, as far as growing, I have to, you know, so like the shop that we're in, this is the space that I work in, but it's not my shop. Like I built a professional reputation, and I don't even have a set location yet. 90% of my customers don't even know where the shop is, which is the crazy part, you know. But again, it goes back to that reputation and the standard that I hold for the quality of work I produce. And if I can't monitor what's produced, I don't want to grow too much.
It's like you don't want to have that a fast food business, so to speak, where you know, think about XYZ fast food establishment that says burgers. I don't want to put anyone in particular like I'm coming at them, but think of a big brand. You know, they sell a lot of burgers and everything in their own commercials, and they're a big brand. But if you think about the best cheeseburger that you ever had, was it from any of those places?
Honestly, some of the best ones are from the mom and pop shops.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like not just burger joints, but good food in general.
Right.
Like a lot of the best places to get food
Right.
are like one location.
Right.
You know
So
what I'm saying?
I think that's what you were speaking on, where
Right.
you know, you pride yourself on a certain quality and you want to grow, but you don't want to grow to, you know, a point where you become fast food, so to speak.
Right.
Because that's when your quality starts to dwindle for the benefit of more money and a bigger brand, but at what cost?
I think that's when you make a decision to do it for the money or for the craft.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, especially in window tint, like there are so many shops that do it for the money and not necessarily for the craft, and it puts a bad taste in people's mouths. So, and it even makes it hard for me to price things, because the ones that are doing it for the money do it a lot cheaper than what they do it for me. But at the same time, if you want the best cheeseburger, you're not gonna pay 99 cents for that cheeseburger,
Right.
either.
Right.
But you know,
You're gonna go to that place and, you know, you're gonna pay about $6 or $7 for the cheeseburger alone, you know?
right. But some people are like, nah, I can get a cheeseburger for 99 cents over here. I ain't paying $7 for a cheeseburger, regardless of whether it's a quality burger or not. You know what I'm saying?
But you get what you pay for.
You're absolutely right, for sure. And you know, there have been, like I said, many instances where I've had to go back and fix work from these high production shops, and I'm just like, I don't want to get to that point. Like I want to keep the reputation I got, so that I can take that reputation into any other business that I want to. So people are like, well, damn, he's like, the quality of work that comes out of this particular business that he's hands-on with, he's got to be doing the same quality in this business that he just got into, if that makes sense. Like I want that reputation to transfer all across the board, so I don't want to sacrifice that.
What have either of you ever kind of came to a crossroads with what you really love doing, and it was a time when it was really hard and every sign was kind of telling you guys maybe you shouldn't be doing this or something, but you kind of pushed through and you're grateful for it?
Every day, man. Every day, really, for me, because you know, when you do music, you have to figure out other ways to make money. Because starting out, when you're doing anything with the arts, you're usually spending more money than you're making. You know, until you get to a certain status. So, you know, you always contemplate, like, you know, is the money that I'm spending, is it worth it to get it back? And then I have to tell myself certain things, like, you know, people spend money on clothes and shoes and different things and cars, and I've never been really big into all of that. So it's like, if they can waste money on that and it definitely gets no return other than self-gratification, I mean, I can take the chance. But yeah, you definitely deal with that, especially coming from a smaller town. Like, music is really big in places like New York, Atlanta, Miami, Los Angeles, you know. So in North Carolina, people love music, but it doesn't have a big music scene in terms of
Hip-hop.
Yeah, especially for hip hop, because, you know, if I can think about it, there's only been really one rapper from North Carolina that got big in North Carolina, and that just happened recently with DaBaby. Because even J. Cole, if you're familiar with his story, is that he went to New York. Yeah, he went to school, I think St. John's in Queens or something, but then from there, he was able to build his brand. But it's like, North Carolina didn't fully embrace him first. Yeah. It's like New York and everywhere else embraced him, and then the small town people in North Carolina claim him as their own now.
Right.
So my struggle is the opposite end. I'm in North Carolina trying to make it in North Carolina, so therefore I'm trying to get North Carolina on my side. But because they don't have a history of, you know, having a lot of talent really getting to a certain status, because I mean, we have a lot of talent out here. I don't want to make it sound like, you know, people are trash out here. There's a lot of talent out here, not just, you know, me. But because we're so small, everybody feels like it's every man for himself. So you have the dynamic of, number one, the other artists not wanting to support you because they feel like it takes what little bit of shine they're already getting away from them.
Yeah.
And then because it's such a smaller area, people that know you and grew up with you, even though they may enjoy your music, they don't want to feel like, quote unquote, that they're on your nuts, you know, so they won't share your music, you know, like they would somebody they don't know. So you'll realize that your biggest supporters are always going to come from people that don't know you versus people that do know you, because they don't have anything to gain. So if they like your music and say that they like it, it's like that they're not getting anything in return. They don't know you, so that's a legitimate comment. You know, and they don't mind stating that because they don't know you. But once the personal value comes in, it's like that mentality of like, well, I don't want people to seem like I'm on sales nuts. So I'll watch the stories and I'll watch the video when it comes out, but I'm not going to comment and like and things of that nature. And I think that's really what prompted the latest video that you shot for me, because it stems from an actual conversation that I had with Jeremy in the gym, where he was just like, man, you know, it's almost like you're too humble. You know, like you're not the typical rapper outside of doing the music where, you know, telling people that you're the best and this, that, and the other. And it's like, I see all these people online claiming they're the best, so it's kind of like either they are kind of nice, but I don't see the consistency, the level of consistency that you're doing, or they're claiming that they're nice and I listen to their music and it's just trash to me. You know, so that's what prompted the kind of lines and things that you hear in that video. So
that's good. Ever had a moment like that where you felt like giving up, but you're happy you didn't?
Oh man, too many to count. I think those times really determine like where you end up. You know what I'm saying? And you know, like I said, I tried and failed for like 10 years at Window Tint. You know, I'd fail, I'd be like, man, maybe this isn't for me, you know. But it was that last decision where, you know, I had been working in security because I thought law enforcement was a path that I was supposed to go down.
Boo.
And you know, I had been in security for like 4 years at that time, and tinting windows on the side. But, you know, I always kind of kept that plan B, like if window tint don't work out, I can always do this. But, you know, I remember, and, you know, I tell this story all the time, you know, riding in a security car one day, making a right turn on Fayetteville Road in Durham. And again, I had been struggling with that whole trying and failing thing. And in that moment, it's like I knew that the plan B, or like going into law enforcement, was not gonna fulfill like my soul. And like I started crying in the car. And that kind of let me know, like, the next time you start tinting seriously, you can't quit. And if you do, you're giving up on everything that your heart's trying to lead you towards. And like I said, it's when you have that feeling, it really determines where you end up. You can succumb to it, or like I did, you know, man up and go and get it. And, you know, I went from making half of what I can do now, you know, trying to juggle them both. You know, you don't realize sometimes your plan B, even a plan B being in the back of your mind, can stifle your growth and really hold you back from actually doing what it is you're supposed to do. So sometimes having a plan B isn't the best plan at all. You know, it's going hard on plan A. So yeah, that's definitely something I can resonate with.
Have you guys ever thought about how your entrepreneurship or your music or your window tinting kind of affects you guys' relationships with family and friends?
Yes and no. I mean, my music doesn't necessarily affect my relationship with my family members. Of course, I have a couple of family members that, you know, don't prefer that style of music because it's very explicit and abrasive, but I don't really get any backlash from it, so to speak. And really with the friends, I don't get any backlash either. I think what it is with friends is that it goes back to the support. And not to say that my friends don't want to support. I just think they don't know how to support. They don't understand certain things like I do. Like when you're make a post on social media, they don't understand the algorithms of liking and making a comment and sharing it within a certain period of time, which tells Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever, social media platform you're using that, the more comments and likes that it's getting, it's telling those platforms this is a post of value. So because they know me and they're used to it, it's kind of like, oh, okay, Marcel's got a new song. I'll check it later. You know what I'm saying? So that's their support because they know that they're going to listen to it and maybe share it, a day or two later or whatever the case may be, or even not share it at all, just listen and, because they have a direct line to you, they'll call you on the phone or send you a text message and say, yo, that video was dope. And that's great. I'm glad they like it, but them telling me that the song was dope doesn't help me to grow. And I think that number one, because they are my friends, and number two, because of where I come from, with the small town mentality, everything's a lot slower. There's not a sense of urgency. So they don't really understand like I understand that, when I put this out, I need you sharing it. I need you to, it's cool that you like it, but if you like it that much, send it to 3 or 4 people.
Like it the same month.
If you're my boy, when you go to the job, I'm gonna need you to hype it up. And you don't even have to say that, my boy did this. It's kind of like my brother says it. He's like, man, when I go to work, I don't even tell him that you're my brother or I know you. It's just like, yo, this dude from North Carolina, he's dope, yo. You know what I'm saying? He just did this video. You need to check this out. Or if he's got somebody in the car, he's got this little playlist of like mainstream artists, but he'll slip my song in and just play it like it's normal, and then somebody will be like, well, what's that? Oh, this is, this cat Celis that I've been following here. This is, his YouTube or whatever, so it hits you subliminally. But if people feel like, they know you, it's almost like they're looking for a reason to hate. It's like, oh, of course you're gonna say that it's dope. That's your homie, which is, like I said, which is why it probably goes back to Jeremy saying that a lot of times I'm too humble, because, granted, do I feel like I'm the best in my area? Yes. But do I go on social media and throw different temper tantrums and claim to be the best and who want this smoke and all that? Nah, because I don't care about none of that. You know what I'm saying?
That's part of hip hop is thinking that you are the best.
Right. And
not just hip hop.
I like my music to speak for itself. I'll talk all that rah-rah stuff in the music, but as far as, getting into it, because I think what happened was Jeremy had been seeing who's the best in the city posts. And he's showing me, and then he's like, you see this? Did you see this, Cell? Who's the best? And they're naming people and blah, 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 blah. And then, I guess it throws him off because I'm casually like, okay, whatever, It doesn't hurt my ego. I think my self-esteem is so high that, if somebody else feels like that somebody else is the best, they can feel that way because, number one, half the time those people are really just riding for someone they know personally because it gets to a place where it's not even about the music. They buy into who that person is, especially with music the way it is now. So it's like, you don't know me, you haven't heard my music, so why would you think I'm the best? So I don't trip.
How do you think it affects your relationships?
Oh boy, man, there's a lot of behind the scenes that people don't see. As far as it I think it heavily affects my relationships in ways that it would any entrepreneur. Like, I stay so consumed that I can be talking to somebody and not hear a word they say because I'm so consumed with trying to keep up with everything. And that's kind of the dark side of entrepreneurship. I mean, you have to play so many different roles in order to make everything come full circle. You know, entrepreneurship to a lot of people is doing something and making money. It's not the marketing, it's not talking to customers, it's not becoming a salesman, it's not ordering supplies, it's not picking up and dropping off
Like I said,
cars.
it's all that stuff that's around.
It's so many different things that people don't see. And like, I don't get invited to birthday parties. I don't get invited to weddings. I don't get invited to family cookouts. Like, they tell me that they're going on so that I can show up if I choose to. But I pretty much tell people, like, just let me know what's going on, but don't invite me because I'm gonna feel bad when I don't show up. Because like, I go after it all the time, dude. And, you know, again, like this past week, you know, I want to be fully transparent just for any entrepreneurs watching the video. You know, I worked 10 hours the first 3 days. I worked 17 hours the Thursday. I worked another 14 hours on Friday, and I might have seen my daughter 2 hours. And not just my daughter, like my girlfriend, pretty much, she spends time with me because she helps me do what I do. But as far as like, you know, like personal time, dude, I'm at it all the time because I have so many different roles to play. And, you know, my mom, she just recently got married and she moved from her house with her new husband. And she's just like, don't forget, you know, we still live in Person County because I stay so consumed, man. And a lot of people call me and they're just like, yo, I'm sorry to bother you. Or I know you're busy, you know. So as far as like my personal relationships and how it affects it, I mean, it puts a dent in it, you know, to where it creates this stigma that you never have free time. But it's
now,
one of those.
Is that something hard to deal with, or did you already say in your mind that for a certain period of time that you'll have to make certain sacrifices, whether it be, you know, because you basically named the three most important women in your life, you know, your significant other, the one that, you know, brought you into the world, and your baby girl. So how do you, you know, justify what you're doing in the end game to ultimately be in a position where they're good and you can actually put yourself in a position of, you know, spending more time with them?
Right. So you always you have to believe that there's light at the end of the tunnel, because if you don't and you just think you're just going to grind yourself until the day you die, there would be no real motivation to get up and do it all the time. You know, so I mean, being willing to make those sacrifices right now, whereas it doesn't feel the best, you know, I have to believe that there is light at the end of the tunnel. You know what I'm saying? Like, entrepreneurship has this crazy misconception that if you work for yourself, you're free. Nobody on Instagram or Facebook is talking about the grind time to get to where they can post the glorious picture of doing X, Y, Z, to where it looks like they're just balling out of control. You know what I mean?
And I know what you're probably feeling, because I think even though we're in different sectors, what we could probably relate to is that, you know, you might be doing something of leisure, and not to say that you can't really enjoy yourself, but it's like you're out there and it's like, you know I'm supposed to be having a good time, but I haven't reached or gotten something done that I'm looking to get done when I could have used this time to do it.
Oh yeah. You know? I always feel like I have to earn my days off. So like, the only reason I took a portion of Sunday off was because I had really hammered it all week long. And I'm like, I earned this. And like, after we finish shooting this, I probably ain't gonna do much because I feel like I earned it, you know? But until I feel like I've grinded myself into a fine mist, you know, it sometimes it does suck. But at the same time, you know, I'm determined I'm not gonna be the one out here being like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. look at this, you know, I'm living the life, you know. Everybody around me is living the life. Nah, dude, I want people to know what's real and what it takes, because I didn't know. And, you know, sometimes if you knew what things really cost, would you actually drive, you know what I'm saying? Like if you knew that you were going to have to sacrifice every weekend, sacrifice your mentality, sacrifice your workout. You know, I've had to switch my workouts up to where I don't get in the gym as much anymore. But if you knew what a goal really cost, I highly doubt the majority of people would actually go after them.
But on the other hand, what positives would you say comes with being an entrepreneur to if someone's willing to put in that sacrifice?
Oh, dude, it's plenty of positives. Although I just made it sound like there are a lot of negatives, there are just as many positives. Like I can take my daughter to school every day if I choose to. You know, I don't have to ask anybody, you know, hey, my daughter's got an appointment, like we need to go here. Or, you know, my family's going to the lake or something. Like if I don't want to go to work and I want to go to the lake, ultimately that's totally up to me. Which is dope. You know,
I guess your boss can't fire you.
You know what I'm saying? Like having that, not necessarily exercising that control all the time, but just knowing that you have that control, it makes it worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like, whereas I just said I work pretty much every weekend, I don't have to. And in the back of my mind, I know that, which is what makes it easier for me to do it. Because when I was having to work Thanksgiving, when I was having to work weekends, when I was having to put in long hours, it was miserable because I had to be there or else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's consequences. You're on somebody else's time to, you know, get money, but outside of the money, does it put you in a position to, you know, to grow? And it just depends on what your overall goal is. Some people's mentality, and a lot, like I said, it's a lot where you're from, you know, and even people that I grew up with, or people that are significantly older than me, they're kind of afraid of the entrepreneurial lifestyle, only because it's like they've been trained and raised to, okay, you grow up, you graduate, you work a job for 30 to 40 years, and you retire.
Yeah.
You know, so they're conditioned to have someone else give them a paycheck for a service they provide. But I've always had a hard time really doing that. So it's like I try to pick up little nuances of what I can do as an entrepreneur to make money, especially outside of the music while I'm growing that, you know. So whether it be like merch, because I definitely have merch. I have this shirt I typically don't wear myself. Trust me, I'm not that vain. But, you know, I got a Celis shirt and other stuff through my e-commerce. I got a net gator. So, you know, just whether it be that or really investments. A lot of people, and I think there's a stigma of like rappers. Like I think on top of me being, you know, the rapper, really I like to see myself as a business. I like to treat myself as a business. So whether that be the music aspect, the merchandising, and really me getting into investments, you know. So I've been doing that lately as well. That's has nothing to do with music. So
turning into a serial entrepreneur.
Well, you know,
you never want to make money from one stream.
Nah, not at all. Not at all.
You gotta be strategic.
Because you know, when one thing goes down, you have 3 or 4 things that keep you up.
No doubt.
You know.
Somebody said as long as you're owed money, you're never broke. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, my father told me that. I said, well, go on and pay me my money then.
Let me go and get that back then.
You know.
No doubt. That's dope, man. For sure.
So what do you both think is kind of the next step for either of you? I know you said you wanted to release an album, but what besides that, what is the next step where you want to see yourself in maybe a year? What do you want to say you've accomplished?
It really just depends on the kind of reception that the album gets. But I feel like as someone that's doing everything independently, just to give this album a real strong push, because I haven't really ever released a full project of all original material. I did back in 2015. I did look like a little EP, so let me not lie, but it wasn't a full album. It was like 7 songs. But this one will be the first one where, you know, never before heard instrumentation, my direction. So giving it a strong push just to show people that, like I said, number one, I'm not rapping on a certain beat or something. I can be very flexible in terms of the type of beats that I jump on, and like I said, just showing people that I can rap, you know, and then hopefully from that can snowball into a couple of other things. Of course, it's kind of unpredictable, but I hope to give the album a really big push once I put it out. You know, of course, start doing shows. It's kind of difficult with COVID. A couple things have opened up, but you know, you still have to be respectful of the regulations that are currently in place, and you know, overall just being safe. But that's the game plan. That's the game plan.
I wish I had a direct answer to this question, because I really have to go back to like my goals that I've written down and figure out where I'm at. You know, I spent all of 2020 literally head down digging, and I hadn't really looked up, to be honest, you know. Just recently, in the first couple weeks of this new year, have I started to look up and try to figure out, okay, where am I at and what's the next destination? Like, where are we going from here? And I don't have a clear idea on that, which is good and bad, you know. I love the head down digging. That's what I do, you know. That's go and get it, you know. Don't worry about, you know, all the little logistics and the small stuff. Just get after it. And that's a mindset that I've got to shift and learn to delegate and not be so hands-on. I think those are two of the personal characteristics that I'm going to work on this year, because being too hands-on has created a mental monster as to, I'm good with just digging, but it can't always be like that. So, you know, learning to delegate and not being so hands-on is not necessarily a direction, but it's two things I'm working on this year for sure. Working towards property. I really want property. Nobody in my family has ever had significant property. And I think if I had to make something up on the spot, I really want to shine more light on what I'm really doing. People just see cars. They just see window tint. The real purpose behind all of it is to help the younger generation shift that small town mindset, because it's taken a long time. Like I'm 30 years old, dog. I've had the entrepreneurial like bug since I was, man, I'd say it started in my teens at least, right when like I was watching my dad kind of make his own money. And you know, I'm 30 now, and a lot of people would have given up by now if they hadn't seen significant results. And I'd love to be that example for coming from very little and creating whatever it is you want to create. So I'd really like to shine a little bit more light on that aspect of what I've accomplished without seeming like boastful. I'm really, I don't like to move loudly at all. You know, that's why my business is called Concealed Window Tint. I like to be concealed. I like to be under the radar. You know, I like that silent revenge from all the people that's doubted me over the years. But it's not doing anything for the youth. It's not doing anything for that purpose that like I said, I want people to understand that it's not the town that holds you back. It's more so your mindset. And I can't display that if I'm humble. So it's kind of like I need to take the same advice that I gave Sil and be a little bit louder. But we'll see. If anybody influences me in that area, it'll be Sil. But
would you guys say that you're born an entrepreneur, or do you think that that's something that someone can learn?
That's tough.
I would say maybe it could be a little bit of both, but you do have to have some type of spark inside of you that states that, you know, you want to be on your own, or you have to have a certain level of either courage or a certain confidence within yourself that you'll be successful.
And did you notice that when you were younger, or was this a recent thing? Like,
No, I've always kind of been like that, because I've been hard-headed, you know, so to speak, all my life, where, you know, I never did what everybody else did, just because everybody else did it. You know, I'm more or less like, well, why is everybody doing this? So, you know, why is everybody wearing this? So I've always done my own thing, you know, and I think that as far as doing my own thing, that, you know, as you get older, transitions into like, well, I don't want to work for somebody for the rest of my life. I don't want to do their thing. I want to do my own thing. So it's always been in me. So I think to a certain extent, you do have to be born with certain things, but you know, you can definitely teach entrepreneurial type things to certain people, because that's something they can, you know, transition into. Like, for example, somebody could be working a job and just so happen to either, you know, slowly over time get into trading or real estate. And then if it does well, I mean, they didn't necessarily get into it to, you know, to necessarily do that. They just want some extra money.
Right.
But it's become their primary, you know, way of making capital. So therefore they're entrepreneurs by, you know, by how life, you know, took them in that direction. So I think it can happen both ways, but like I said, you still, inside of you, have to have that mentality to, whatever you want to call it, take a leap of faith or have confidence. You know, you just can't, at the end of the day, you just can't be afraid to fail. You know, I think with me, never really afraid to fail. I just don't want to waste time and money. So it's kind of like, with doing everything independently, it's a balance of how much money should I really put into this versus other areas. So it's kind of like you're your own boss, so you're always delegating where to put the money. You know. But no, I've always had something inside of me that said, you know, I want to do my own thing. I think my problem was that I never really knew what I wanted to do. You know, because as far as like a job, everybody was like, you know, I want to do this when I grow up. I want to do this when I grow up. And I never really had anything that I wanted to do as far as like working for somebody. It's like, I mean, a job is a job. If they're going to pay me X, Y, Z amount of money, you know, so I kind of knew then that if I didn't have a passion to actually work a certain job where somebody pays me, then that's because I really wanted to be my own boss. You know, tell myself what to do.
I think I agree with you, because while you've been talking, I've been kind of thinking about, you know, the question as far as, are you born that way, or can you, you know, be made into an entrepreneur? And it's kind of, I agree with, you know, there's a certain portion of it that you should be born with, I think. And then there's a portion of it that can be taught. And I think the portion that can't be taught, that you should be born with, is grit. Like the willpower, staying power. I don't think you can teach that, because it's man, it requires a mental state, not necessarily a physical state, but it requires a mental state that not everybody is born with. Like some people just can't stay when
Yeah.
it gets hard.
Yeah.
Now, can you teach someone to make money? Absolutely. You know, anyone can be taught to make $1, but it's, can they stay when shit gets hard?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the part that I think a lot of people miss, because it's so many people, and I see it all the time, starting their own business. You know, oh, I'm starting my own thing. But they're starting their own thing because they just want to make more money. That's it. They're not starting their own thing because there's something inside them pulling them in that direction, other than they're not making enough where they are right now. And, you know, not saying that they can't succeed. It's just, I sit back, instead of going straight to their little Facebook page that they created, now calling themselves an entrepreneur, I sit back and I wait until that willpower needs to kick in, and that staying power needs to be something that they have naturally, you know. And then if I see some staying power, or like see where they've actually, you know, been through the dirt and just been digging, then I'll go like your page, because you know, you got it, type of thing. So yeah, I think you can, I think it's both ways. Like, there are certain aspects you can be born with, but I think there are certain characteristics.
Like you said, you definitely have to have it in you, because
Yeah.
I see that from a music standpoint where, like you said, my music a lot of times tends to be more intricate. But like when you want to be I guess I would prefer the term MC more so than rapper, because you know, a rapper makes rap music, but they're not necessarily a lyricist, so to speak. So a MC has two jobs: to be dope lyrically, but also create great music. Because, you know, there's some dope lyricists where, you know, their music doesn't speak to you. Then, you know, you have some people that might not be as lyrical, but they can invoke, you know, and I have talks with people like that, because I know you're a big Tupac fan. So people will say that about Tupac or DMX. Like, are they as lyrical, spiritual, miracle as some of the other people that, you know, use double entendres and use different schemes? No, their message is more straightforward, but they were always able to, you know, pick the right beats, rap on it in such a way, and give a certain passion that it makes the person listening to it feel it. So as an MC, you have two jobs, you know, because I am on that more lyrical spectrum. Now my core fan base is looking for me to do that. But then at the same time, I have to make a good enough song where casual hip hop fans, you know, and I bring that up to say you have to have a certain mentality. Like Jeremy was saying, it's because I'll come out with a verse, and then somebody else will hear a verse on the same beat or something. Like if I did a cypher, and I'll see where somebody said that this guy's verse was so dope, and just recite the most basic thing. I'm like, that's what you liked? And you heard my verse? But I realized, and this is why Jeremy said I probably should start doing explanations of my verses, is that even though I get it, they don't get it. They really don't get it.
People have been conditioned in such a simplistic way.
So it's not only important what you say, but a lot of times how you say it. You know, because it's funny with the video that you just did for me and Jeremy. It's like, I said a lot of different things, and people that really like hip hop have come back to me, but it's like the one thing that people keep coming back to me is, nah, never that. And didn't I tell you before we did it, that's what they were going to talk about?
Yes, you did.
And
but that's why I told you to make a gift for that too. Nah, never that. Yeah, told you.
So it's funny. It's like that simple thing. It wasn't even a punchline, but because of how I said it, people could, you know, feel based off what I was talking about, like, I'm never doing that.
Right.
You know,
right.
So like
It's
I said, it's
timeless,
just
too. It's something that can stick around for a while.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so
It's dope, man.
What advice would you maybe give that kid that's just graduating high school and their parents or their peers or are trying to influence them to go to college, but they aren't quite sure that's like, they feel maybe they have a good idea, maybe they want to be an artist, a rapper, a business owner. What advice would you give them?
You trying to turn all the parents against me?
Nah. This is what I would say.
Coming from someone who's been to college.
Yeah, you could still go to college, but you don't necessarily have to finish it. But in college is at a time where a lot of young adults are out on their own for the first time. So even if you have aspirations to do other things, you can go to college because it can connect you with so many different people.
Networking.
So the biggest advice that I could say, two things. One, if it's something that you're really passionate about, don't waste time. And two, just try to network. Because a lot of times you learn in this life, and this is with any business sector, it's really not about how good you are. It's about who you know. Yeah. Now, the quality is what...
Run that back for me.
Yeah, it's not necessarily about how good you are. It's who you know. So
Okay.
not to downplay quality, but I think, who you know gets you in the door, but your quality keeps you in the house.
What you know keeps you there.
Mm-hmm.
Who you know gets you in. What you know keeps you there.
Yeah. So you have to be connected with the right people, because you always see that where you may feel like, how did this actor get this role? Or why is this rapper hot? Or this person can't sing or whatever. They have a strong team behind them.
Weirdly, if you go back, they're just like, yeah, we met in college. That's where
A lot of people did meet in college.
I think my network would be a lot bigger had I went to college, but I mean, I never had the knack to go.
Or use your network in high school. I mean, with social media the way it is now, the height of your popularity as a regular person is always going to be its highest at high school and college.
I tell people a lot. When I was in high school, that's when I thought up my own company and everything. And I made these shirts that I drew. I gave my fiance a picture, like a mental note of something, and she drew it for me. And we got someone to make it digital, and I printed on the shirts. And I sold 100 copies of the shirt just to teachers and things around the school.
Dang.
Yeah.
And I feel like high school gives you
That's
and then
dope.
if you just give your teachers and people around you oh, this is what this guy's serious about that, I feel like they'll kind of follow you for that in the future. Like my teachers will still text me to this day hey, how's things going? How's your business and things like that.
Right.
So I feel like high school.
And it's and high school is way easier to get your point across, because you're marketing to, basically kids and young adults where, they're not bogged down by the realities of life. For the most part, most people in high school don't have children. Of course, a couple
Some
happen.
do.
A lot of them don't have jobs. So really, you're seeing these people every day, Monday through Friday. Now you have social media. Everybody's connected with each other. So really, to make a push for whatever you want to do, business-wise or entrepreneur-wise, needs to start in high school.
Right.
I'd say that if I ever had children and I knew they wanted to do something out of high school, I would rather spend 20, 30, 40,000 that it would take to go to college and just put that into whatever
what
they wanted to do.
That's how we see it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
Because college really, unless I say this, college is beneficial for two things, and I'm not trying to downplay college, but college is good for networking and getting your foot in the door in certain places, or if you're going to do a certain business sector. Like if you want to be a lawyer,
Right.
an engineer,
Right.
a chemist or something
Somewhere
like that.
you really need the training.
Yes. Then yeah.
Yep.
But everything else, man, to a certain extent is kind of BS. I mean, it looks good on paper, but in 2020, 2021, everybody can go to college.
Yeah.
Everybody goes to college. It's expected. Whereas, maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, everybody didn't go to college.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, he's got a degree. So now it's like having a a bachelor's degree in whatever your field is, kind of like, okay, I mean, everybody goes to school, you know. So if you have that entrepreneur lifestyle, or mindset rather, like it seems dumb to me to go to college to get a business degree to do business.
Right.
Because
I think you learn more trial and error.
Right.
No, I just had a few more questions for you guys. One thing I wanted to ask was, how do you guys think the quarantine and the coronavirus kind of affected your mental health, let alone your career?
I'll be honest, and no disrespect, and I feel for those that have maybe lost family members or have been sick or lost their job, but last year was probably one of the best years I ever had.
Yeah.
You know, to be honest. I mean, you know, it gave me a space to be creative and game plan on how I want to do 2021, and it took all year to kind of get to where I am now to decide what I'm going to do for the immediate future. But, you know, I'm one that spends a lot of time by myself anyway. Like, I can be with people and be the life of the party, but I'm okay with being by myself. That's when it allows me to be my most creative, when I'm chilling by myself, you know, get the creative juices flowing, whether it be, you know, listen to some music or watch some battle rap or whatever. And then I can be doing music related things all day, and before I know it, it's 8, 9 o'clock and I haven't even stepped out the house.
Yeah.
But I understand that for other people, it probably could have affected them mentally, but I'll be honest, 2020 was a real great year for me, So.
Right.
And I guess for you,
I second that motion.
Yeah.
Man, one thing people probably don't know about me is I'm an introvert. I like to be in a quiet space with nothing going on. Now, do I get that? Very rarely.
Right.
You know, but I'm with Sale, dude, and I've heard it from a couple other people. It was the year that shifted everything for me in positive ways. You know, I had set a number goal. I mean, we always everyone sets a number goal, you know, and if it wasn't for quarantine, I may not have even hit that goal, but I hit it and some.
Yeah.
In which what it did was it influenced me to re-strategize how I run my day, and it's allowed me to become way more efficient with how I spend my time, in which that's what translates into the hitting the number and some.
Yeah.
It forced me to be more efficient, and you know, I've heard it from quite a few other people that are like, man, this has been the best year financially. Well, 2020, I forget, we're in 2021 now, but 2020 was the best year financially that I've ever had in my life. And I'm like, daggone. And these aren't coming from people younger than me. These are coming from people who are much older than me.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, so I'm not alone in this. You know, I know there are a lot of people out there struggling, but it's weird, man, because like my entire life, I have been subliminally conditioned by the people around me or the people in my family to always take what most consider an extreme negative and pull a lot of positive from it. You know, so like my grandmother passed away from Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS. And she was probably the best example for me as far as taking an extreme negative and pulling what you can from it up until the day you die. And, you know, kind of bringing that mindset from the example she set into COVID. I was like, I'm alive. I gotta go and get it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just that, and that's where that mindset comes from. You know, I just feel like as long as you're alive, like regardless of what's going on in the world, what's not going your way, how you feel, aches and pains, like as long as you're alive, you gotta get up and you gotta go and get it. So, you know, when they were just like, we're quarantined, I quarantined myself for a day. And then I was like, I gotta go work.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta go. As long as I'm here, I gotta go out and make things happen. And like I said, it translated into the most profitable year that I've experienced thus far. Mm-hmm. You know, which I get. You know, I feel for the people that can't necessarily say that, but you know, just speaking from me, you know, speaking from our own experience. I mean, it's put us in a position going into 2021 to dive into things that we never really thought we could dive into. Mm-hmm. So I think that's where we're at.
One last major question I had, because you kind of brushed on it before, but say from the perspective of like a parent or an aunt or uncle or something, what advice can you give them to support maybe their child or a niece or nephew who's trying to become an entrepreneur or trying to take like a path less traveled?
Right.
Maybe what they could do on social media and things to help them.
I think it just depends on what that particular person is trying to do. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I know from a music standpoint is that, you know, like, comment, share. You know, if you really want to support someone, as soon as you see it, like, comment, share. Because, I mean, other than you looking at it, I mean, like I said, a lot of people from a smaller town perspective think they just like it or look at it. Mm-hmm. That's them supporting. Mm-hmm. But you looking at it for your own self-gratification and then letting that person know, like I said, on the side, calling them up because you have a direct line to them or sending them a text message saying, you know, I liked your video or that song's dope. It doesn't help that particular person grow. So from a social media aspect, whatever someone's doing, whether it be, you know, if women are doing hair or if someone's baking pastries or whatever, when you see them make a post, since it doesn't cost you anything, and if you really want your friend or family member to grow and be as successful as possible, to consistently like, share, and comment. Because I mean, I see so many things that people share, you know, for entertainment value, and I understand that, you know, a lot of people use their social media as a way to disconnect from harsh realities of the world, you know, or just to kind of decompress from the day. But also realize that there's, you know, many people out there that's trying to use it for business purposes. Yeah. You know, so as far as like really like a social media aspect, like, share, and comment, all three. It's like it doesn't even do you justice to just do one of them.
I almost feel like you should probably do a full episode on the depth of why you want people to like, share, and comment, so that they, like, you can edit this out if you want to, like it could be like how to support your son or how to support your daughter or how to support your entrepreneur, you know what I'm saying? Because like you said, when you're like, man, like the post, comment, share the post, you know, people don't understand why. Like, why are you want me to do that? And it's like, well, you know, you're telling the algorithm that this is something important and it's keeping it in the feed. Like, if people understand why they're doing something, like maybe they'll be more inclined to do it instead of being like, because a lot of people don't like or share things that they feel like could benefit you and put you in a position to be where they want to be, so they won't do it. Right. You know, it's kind of an ego trip. Right. But if you better understand, like, okay, why do I need to do this to help them? Like, it's the easiest thing you can do to support somebody who is trying to build a social media following or trying to promote music or trying to promote your media company. Yeah. Like, it's a very simple gesture that people really overlook. Yeah. You know, and not just the comment, but I think that it has to be a certain amount of characters in the comment for it to actually register too.
I've heard of that as well. So it's kind of like, you know, when you're trying to grow, I mean, that's the best thing for you, is for people to be engaged with that. Because it's funny, people always have this mentality, like, if they've never heard of you, then therefore you're not you're not dope. So like the worst thing that somebody could ever say, and it's always been the stupidest thing I've ever heard, is like, say if somebody posts a song of an artist, or say if I do it, and the first thing they say is, who is that? Like almost to say that because you don't know them,
They're nobody.
this person doesn't have value,
Right.
or they're not dope or whatever.
Right.
You know, so, and then another thing is kind of like when people blow up, it's like, dang man, this person came out of nowhere. Like, no, they didn't come out of nowhere. You just started listening to them.
You just overlooked all the work that was put into. And that's
you're just now getting on them. So
weirdly enough, I can relate to that.
So
even though I'm in a totally different space.
So I would say that the stupidest thing that you can ever do to anybody is ask who they are, to be in a position to be so, how can I say, you know, to be so arrogant to say that because you don't know them, then
They're
you know
nobody.
they don't have any importance.
Right.
You know, you can't know everything. I mean, how about, you know, if you don't know who they are, and whatever friend or family member is sharing it, why don't you take the time to find out, you know, if they're dope or not? You know what I'm saying? Instead of just who are they, like you're supposed to be able to answer that in such a way that they're gonna know.
Right.
You know.
So let me ask both of you a question, which is weird to say on my show, but I just thought about it. Like when you so asking who are they is kind of like a sneak diss in the most like non-upfront way. Like, who are they? You know, how do you use that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or
even like you're saying, like I know what you're going, kind of like if you're tinting windows and before people realize that you're doing it as a business, like how's that little tint thing that you're doing?
Right.
That like, little thing, like it's, you know.
So like for me, so I'll give you an example. A couple years ago, a buddy of mine told me that a competitor used me in a sales pitch and was like, you can have him do it and it'll be okay, or you can have me do it and it'll be perfect. And me hearing that, instead of me being like, man, like I'm not the best yet, like, man, maybe they are better than me, I took that and ran with it. Like I used it as fuel versus letting it destroy my ego. And it's like, damn, I'm not where I want to be. But, you know, it went from you can have him do it and it'd be okay, or have us do it and it'd be perfect, to you can have me do it and it'd be perfect, or have him do it and it'd be okay. So I reversed the roles without ever giving it, you know what I'm saying? Like ever giving it any fuel. So it's like, who is he? Like, do you use that as fuel, or do you find yourself?
Well, I haven't seen it like directly, you know, so I haven't experienced it, you know, personally, where somebody may post my stuff and be like, well, who is he? Yeah. But I have seen it from, you know, like a lot of artists that I listen to may not necessarily be on the radio. So occasionally if I'm on YouTube or, you know, on Facebook or something, and I see somebody else has posted an artist, it's like, well, who is that? Yeah. You know, so I've seen the arrogance. I haven't experienced it personally yet. Yeah. But I'm just saying I've seen that. Now what I probably have experienced is occasionally somebody be like, you still rapping, or how's the rap thing going? When, you know, I'm friends with them on social media, and it's like, you know, or people seeing me out at a store or something and saying, yo, that was dope. So, you know, how I've been doing it now is like, you know, like you said, instead of being humble about it, you know, just like, well, you know, share it. Yeah. Show it to a couple people. Like, don't tell me I'm dope. I mean, I appreciate it, you know. Yeah. I mean, but
obviously you think you're dope, or you
right. Exactly. That's exactly what I was about to say. Like, not to be arrogant, but if I didn't think it was of a quality that I didn't think was good enough to put out, then I wouldn't have put it out. Right. I appreciate you taking the time to tell me that you like it. But if you like it that much, then share it with somebody else.
That's frustrating.
Yeah, like don't tell me, tell them.
Yeah, well, it kills me when people, like, all I post online is like tint stuff.
Right.
Or like
And
I'll
like,
post
still
like
tint
10
windows? Still tint windows?
Yeah, I post like 10 cars, and then my man's like, "Hey, do you still tint?" Dude, I've gotten to where I don't even respond to those messages.
It's like
I won't even tell them. I won't even be like, "Yeah, of course." Like, what do you mean? Like,
people are so used to instant information. It's like they don't even take the time to go on your Facebook page and instantly see
you
10,
had to
20,
click on
30
my
cars.
name or my profile to
Right.
get to Messenger. Right. You didn't see in the bio that, or see the last post of your video
from like a year ago.
And it's like, you know, somebody comes to you and is like, "Hey, you still doing the media thing?
Well, it's
How'd you find me? On my page?"
I was
You know
at a
what I'm saying?
wedding shooting, and someone was like, "So this is what you're doing with your life." And
What?
I was like, I don't know if like to take that like disrespectful. Like, did you mean it like, oh, that's?
I wouldn't
kinda
take it
cool,
any
or,
other
like,
way. But
yeah, like I would have been like, well, what do you mean?
yeah.
Let me give you
See, stuff like
let me
that.
give
That's
you
what
a
I'm talking
chance
about,
to.
though. Like that little slick comment, like I wouldn't even respond to it, but it would fuel me
Yeah.
to kill it.
It's
Like, oh,
I
cool.
just put it
Like,
back
okay.
in my mind, but it's like
I wouldn't
like-
necessarily put it back there, man. I'm telling you, I would use it as kindling. Like, I know if I would have gotten a comment like that, "So this is what you're doing with your life." Like at first I'd be like, "I'm gonna smack them as soon as I see them." Like, and I can't wait,
But it
you
was
know?
worse because it was like in person, and they were like a big part of the wedding.
What?
Yeah, like they came off to the side because I knew them before, but I knew how they were and every like you'll hear things about like
Well, maybe they didn't mean it as negatively because they knew you,
Yeah.
but
just the way
it just can't. Yeah, like I said, and like I said, it goes back to that Snoop thing. we were
Kyle's
talking
right there.
about.
Yeah.
May-
How
maybe,
you word things.
Yeah, because since they know you, it's like, oh, so this is what you're doing. But it's kind of like instead of them just saying, you know, in a different way, it's like, so this is what you're doing
Yeah.
now. So it's like,
Oh
I mean,
God.
how was their tone when they said it?
I don't. It's hard for me because I was so focused on like,
Right.
the
So it's kind
wedding
of
and everything.
caught you off guard, and
Yeah.
it's kind of like, well, I don't even know how to
Yeah.
respond to this right now. Like, I got you.
Should have been, and then it makes you want to come back with like a $10,000 camera. Like, yeah, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's what I do.
You know what I'm saying? I let that stuff fuel me though, man. I'm telling you. Like I didn't, when I heard, like I said, he can do it and it'd be perfect, we can do it and it'd be okay, blah, blah, blah. Like, I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything to them. I just grinded it out until my name was the only one being recommended in the comments, and they were being recommended once or twice. But again, like them asking you that question, like don't necessarily put it in the back of your mind. Prove them wrong. Like use it as fuel, use it as kindling to further light that fire, dude. Because it's weird because I was thinking about it on the way here today. They say that the best revenge is massive success. It feels way better. Like it doesn't even feel like I'm not gonna go back and forth with you. You think what you want, and I'll let my work speak for itself.
And speaking on like the competition kind of aspect of things, how do you like I'll sometimes like I'm not trying to, but I'll mentally like get discouraged because I'll see someone new pop up like I don't know in my area or in an area that I've done work or something like video work, and they'll be like doing videos and things. How do you deal with like as a rapper, it may be more prevalent to you. Like how do you deal with a new rapper just popping up and everyone's like in their comments typing them up, you're dope, and it's like you're listening to it, and you're like.
No, I think Jeremy can attest to it as well because there's a big competitor in the area, and I'll speak on myself, but just to speak on him for a minute, from what he's told me, like, you know, this competitor probably thought that Jeremy would have been out of business, you know, a year or two ago.
Yeah.
You know, because what you've been serious now as a full-time, you know, doing that amongst other entrepreneurial things for about 4 years now. You know, because
The first two I had to juggle the security thing and tent just to kind of track, and that's another tip that I could give to entrepreneurs at some other time. But I was comparing and contrasting what I could make on my own versus what the job was paying me for about 2 years. And then once I evaluated, I make more money here. then when I made that transition, I wasn't as afraid.
Right.
You know, I think that's an easier way into entrepreneurship versus going to work, getting pissed off and saying I quit.
Right. But
you know, when I said I quit, I had numbers to look at.
Right.
So it didn't make it that scary. But yeah.
But to speak on what you asked me, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a little discouraging. It's just more. It's more or less. How can I say? Disappointing. It doesn't discourage me because I'm going to do what I'm going to do, but it is a little disappointing that, you know, I can see certain artists, and I understand music is subjective, you know, so there, you know, it's harder to quantify than something else. But to see someone put out something, and I'm not mad at their success, you know, but they have a fan base that is more excited about their art than mine. You know, because, you know, my people that I speak to, and it's probably more towards my personality, is that because I'm not one that buys into an artist and is a quote unquote super fan, my other people are like that. They're like, okay, this is dope. But other than that, it's like I don't have anyone that has that extra level of exuberance, you know, where somebody else will put something out and the quality to me is straight trash, but it's like they have 10 or 12 or 15 people that are on it right from the jump and fire emojis, this is dope, shared it, and before you know it, you know, this little bullshit ass song, you know, no disrespect, has gotten over 120 or 130 shares, and, you know, 5,000 people have seen it or whatever, and then, you know, you take your time and energy to put out a certain thing, and then you see like you only have 500 views. But it's never towards the artist, you know, because I know if you let it eat you up, then it allows you to start, you know, looking down at them. But it's not the artist's fault, you know. I mean, if they can put out what I deem to be trash music and have a following and, you know, can generate a fan base for that, I'm all for it. So it's never about attacking the artist, but it's more or less like, how can I get my fan base more excited, or how can I continue to grow to reach people that are excited about my music in such a way that, you know, these people are excited about this other artist's music.
So it just triggers a different part of you than
right.
But you wouldn't be human if it didn't like, ooh, like you know, like I think it's just us being humans. Like when I see other people post, I mean, I've seen some other people that are like, that have tinted windows, or even locally, I've seen some people that have posted, you know, tinted this glass. And, you know, what I do, and at first, because I'm human, I'm just like, competition. Like, this means I got to step it up. You know what I'm saying?
But it's good that you see it that way, because like I said, it's a lot of times when people, like, jealousy is a very natural human trait.
Bingo.
I've never had it.
Right.
But a lot of people have it. So it's easy to get consumed into the, you know.
I don't know if it's jealousy so much, but insecure.
This person is,
insecurities.
well, insecurity feeds jealousy.
Right, okay.
You know, so if you're not really secure in who you are, or, you know, the craft that you're in and that you're doing, then it can make you start blaming others.
Right.
You know, so you start hating on the person that's here.
Right.
You know. And I never want to do that.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of like, I never want to have to talk down about someone else in order to bring myself up.
Right.
Which is why
I'm the same way.
Yeah, which is why when I'm critiquing artists, like, you know, I think for example, when we go back to like Eminem, I don't want to bring Eminem down if I feel like other rappers are better. Let him stay up here, and I want to tell you why this rapper deserves to be up here as well. But what happens is, I think that fans become bitter because their favorite artist is not getting the amount of shine they feel like that artist deserves.
Right.
So they have to shit on the other artists in order to bring them up.
Right.
So because they already know this artist is up here.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, he's better than such and such.
Right.
And especially with hip hop being like one of those, hip hop is unique that in such a way where it's extremely competitive. And because it's so competitive, the mindset of an artist, or really the mindset of a fan, is that you can't like more than one artist at a time. You know, it's kind of like, if I like this artist, then I can't like this artist, or this artist is the best. You know, and it's kind of triculated into others, like other genres, because you'll always see from a genre where, you know, where such and such is better than this person, but it's really deeply rooted in hip hop, because it's almost like you have to say who the best is.
I kind of get like trapped into that as well. Like I'll see someone else post like their top 10 rappers or something, or artists or anything for that matter, and it's like I'll start trying to, but then it's like I'll put this 10 and then I'll find like 5 more, like, oh crap, where do they fit in, or where does this fit in? And I feel like it kind of ruins the experience for you when you're trying to.
I have 2 lists, man, because people find it very difficult to be objective and unbiased. So I always say that I have a top 10 favorites list. People that I personally like to listen to. But then at the same time, I can have a top 10 list of who I think is the best. Because there's many rappers who I think that, you know, are very dope, have created very dope music, but don't necessarily speak to me. So it's kind of like I like to compare Common and 50 Cent, for example.
Okay.
Common's a way better MC than 50 is.
Right.
But what music do I listen to the majority of the time between the 2 of them? 50 Cent.
50 Cent. Yeah.
You know.
Described last year because I enjoyed Eminem's album probably the most, but there are definitely albums that were better.
Yeah.
Like they definitely put a lot more into it.
Yeah, and I can be objective in that, you know, but a lot of people can't.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when somebody asks a specific question like who the better MC or who the better person is, you're really, people can't take themselves out of the equation to answer it objectively. They're just going to put bias in it and tell you who their favorite is.
Right.
So it's like you and your competitor.
Yeah.
When somebody says, who's the best tenor? And say this particular person has had work done by you and the competitor, and you did a way better job, but the person that is given their, you know, their analysis is cousins with the competitor, or they grew up with the competitor.
Right.
They're too close to the situation to be objective about it, and they're going to say that the competitor is better.
Right.
Even though they've looked at the quality of the work and like, dang, you know, Jeremy really is better.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Like a lot of people don't want to hurt feelings, like with someone that's personal to them.
Yeah. And then there's a lot of nepotism with a lot of things as well, because people have their favorites.
Right.
You know, so anytime that I debate any hip hop or debate anything, it's always an unbiased. I take my favorites out of it.
Right.
You know, I can speak to
and
the
that's
quality
just being
of the music.
A more self-aware person. Dude.
Yeah.
Like that's just understanding human psychology and being able to check yourself. Man, the amount of people that can't check themselves is way more than the people that can or that are aware, you know, because again, just like what you said, you know, being able to take yourself out of the equation, a lot of people can't do that.
No.
Like it's not something that, I'm not gonna say you gotta be born with it, but it's definitely something that you have to condition and be mindful of.
Because there's many songs where, you know, sometimes I'll say a song is trash, but there's many songs that have came out that I didn't too much care for, but I understand why others like it.
Right.
You know, and that's why I think that
based on the climate.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think that I can appreciate Eminem more so than my friends can.
Right.
You know, although, you know, he's not necessarily my favorite, I can listen to the albums and understand what it took to make certain rhyme schemes.
Right.
And
right.
different things of that nature, you know, from an MC standpoint. So unless you can really understand what he was doing and what it took to do that,
right.
then you wouldn't appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
That's just being a well-rounded artist, being able to pick that stuff out too.
Yeah.
You know.
But you guys got anything, last thing you want to say to anybody coming up, or any entrepreneurs or rappers or artists?
Yeah, I mean, it's always even, you know, this is with life. Life is always going to be filled with valleys and peaks, you know. So what comes up eventually comes down, and really and truly, it's harder to stay at the top than it is to get there. So as much work as you put to get there, once you're in a certain light, then everyone sees you as the man or the woman, you know. And once they see you as the barometer of being the best, there's many people looking to take that position. So you have to stay on point and stay on cue more so even then than ever before, because when you're on your come up, a lot of people can't see that, so you can mess up without it being under a microscope. Mm-hmm. But once you get there, every little thing people are gonna see. So enjoy the process of coming up, you know, and being able to make those, you know, mistakes and different things of that nature. Because once you get there, if you want to stay there, you'll probably have to work 10 times as hard.
Not just being okay with the mistakes, but understanding the mistakes and why they're there. People don't, and I did this, and I don't speak on anything that I haven't experienced and jacked up on my own. And a lot of the failures that I had to get to this point were necessary, you know, and people don't see failures as necessary. They see them as, you know, the devil's out to get me.
Right.
Versus every failure I've ever had has shaped me to be here. Every job, every mistake, you name it, like any negative that has happened up until this point has shaped me to be here. And without those things, this wouldn't be possible. You know what I'm saying?
And you still try to prepare to not make failures.
Right,
you know,
right,
of course, it's not necessarily about failing.
Yeah, you don't plan to fail.
Right. Never plan to fail. It's just more or less, what do you do after you fail?
Yeah.
You know, it's about, okay, why didn't this work? You know, and if it didn't work, let me try something else.
Right.
You know,
Like I said, understanding what failure really is. It's literally training to get you to the weight.
I have a friend of mine that, you know, he has great ideas, some of the greatest ideas, but with him, he gets deterred because like his game plan doesn't work the way that he expected it.
Pop immediately.
Right. And then when it doesn't happen the way that he expected it to, then instead of like regrouping to continue,
completely throws the idea out. That's that instant gratification mindset that we've all been conditioned to desire, right? That's why we eat fast food. It's easy, it's convenient.
And then I have to realize that it takes people a while to catch on to certain things. Because like I said, people love to say that, you know, they love to congratulate you when you're here. Yeah. But seldom do people want to be the trendsetters. You know, they want to run with the trend. So if you're not currently the trend, if it's not cool to say that they like you, it's kind of like hard for them to jump on the bandwagon, so to speak. Because, you know, I've sent music to a couple people personally, like a year or two ago. And I guess just for whatever reason, they finally took the time to listen to it. And it's like, then they have like this mind-blowing experience. Only because they knew me. And it's like I said, because I probably got into rapping so late, you know, like I said, I didn't do it at 11 or 12. It's kind of like it's hard for them to see you
Right.
for what you're doing.
Yeah.
But then they finally hear it and it's like, oh man, that actually was dope. I didn't know you were doing it like that.
Right.
You know. So I always say that continue to whatever you're doing, to do it at the highest level, because you never know who's watching.
Bingo.
You know.
And don't do it for the dollar. That's the biggest piece of advice. If you're going into entrepreneurship, if you're going into anything with money being the driver,
the only driver. I mean, of course, you want.
No, you want money to be a part of the
Yeah.
equation, no doubt. But I mean, if that's why you're going into it, I promise you, when you get punched in the mouth, the last thing's on your mind is that money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying literally punched in the mouth. I'm saying figuratively, like when life hits you, money's not on your mind anymore. And if that was the driver, it's not going to keep you there.
Right.
You're going to go right back to where it was easy. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I tell people when they come to me and they're like, man, I'm starting this thing. I got something I want to do. I want to know your opinion. My first question is, why are you doing it?
Right.
And then their answer.
You could tell if people, you can see it by what they say when you ask certain questions, which is why I knew he was going to be in the position that he was in even before I really, knew who he was. And he can probably attest to this. Like 2 years before he started tinting full time, I told him that's what he was going to be doing in a year or two.
He's like, just wait. I'm like, man, I don't know, man. I don't know.
He couldn't see it then.
Nah,
So sometimes people can see things in yourself that you don't even see.
Yeah.
Because I have conversations with many different people that want to do different things, but what set him apart from other people is that they have more than just the ideas. It's like they've kind of weighed the options. Like, well, I want to do this, but I have to do X, Y, Z because this might happen, and then I got to be prepared for this. So it's like, okay, you actually did some real thought,
some homework
into what you're going into versus, hey, I'm gonna bake cakes, or I'm gonna sell clothes.
I'm gonna be a rapper today.
I'm gonna be a rapper
They're
today.
not as well versed as you are in the craft.
Right.
That's why I tell people all the time, I'm just like, just wait. Just wait. There's plenty of people out here that want to start a media company and just go buy a camera. They're not sending, would you say 30 DMs a day? 20 or so a day, just to let people know who you are and what you do. See, that's what I realized very early on. I'm like, okay, well, if I want this thing to work, I need people to know who I am and what I do. So when people hear my name, I need them to think window tint, cars, which I had already had a reputation for that. I just needed to amplify it a little bit. And that, again, that's what separates people. You know what I mean? And it separates winners from losers. I'm not saying people that are chasing the dollar are losers, by no means. I'm just saying it's not enough there. I've had some really crazy things happen to me in my personal life, and money didn't make me feel better about it. It didn't fix it. It's got to be deeper than that, because when your grandmother is your biggest supporter and like your leader, and she passes away, it's very common for people to take the next day off, or the day after that, or the day after that. But I went right back to work. Like when my grandmother passed away, like this psychiatrist came out on the porch, like literally right, like 30 seconds after she had passed away. She was like, "How are you?" I'm like, "I'm good." She was like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "I'm positive." Like I'm good. Like I'm gonna keep doing what I do, because that's what she did. And at that point, money wasn't the driver.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
It becomes like a therapy for you when you really enjoy what you're doing.
Right. Absolutely. And if it's not that, you'll quit or get destroyed, one or the other.
Make or break you.
I'd say that'd be the biggest thing. Really dive into why you want to do what you're doing, so that you can sustain the hard times. You know what I mean? But I think that's it. That's dope. I've really enjoyed this, fellas.
So thank you all for watching. If you'd like to see more, let me know down in the comments. If you have any questions you'd like to ask them personally, put them down in the comments below. Leave a like, rating, subscribe if you have not already. And both of their socials will be down below. I've recorded a few videos for Celis. I'm sure we have some more coming up. I'll link those. And me and Jeremy might do some work soon too, but we'll kind of see what the future holds. So thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you guys later.